Good evening, YouTube. It's your boy Humble Warrior. Back at you with another video. Fresh off the 26-7 defeat at the hands of the Kansas City Chiefs. Last night was a rough one. It really was. I'll say that it took a lot just to go to sleep last night. It took a lot just to formulate what had happened, the way it went down, the different storylines, how people perceived Tua at the end of that game, his presser, his body language on the field and everything like that, the scrutiny he faced over and over again from his lack of performance in that game, the passes multiple players got based on what they had did in that game, so on and so forth, whatever. So I took to Twitter today, spent like probably 15-20 minutes on there. I really couldn't express the number of times I've read, he sucks, weak arm, get rid of him, we need to trade for Justin Fields, we need to go get another quarterback, we need to not pay him, basically after next season, like let him loose or whatever. Now this video is going to be a multitude of things, but I'll say this to the entire fan base. If you think getting rid of him is going to fix most of your problems, then by all means do just that. But I forewarn you, if he goes to an actual system or he goes to a team where they don't mind building around his skill set, and he actually turns out to be what I knew he could become without the Miami Dolphins, then you guys lost out on a hell of a gem. Now, you may hit me with the 4-year argument, but Flores was a coach for 2 years, right? They had 2 winning seasons, didn't make the playoffs. Not all on Tua. Then Mike McDaniel is now the current coach. Last year they went 9-8. This year they went 11-6. Apples to oranges. You may say, well, they beat up on lackluster talent, however you want to call that, pistol, whatever you want to call it, and they won games in that fashion or whatever. But there's really 4 things I would say that have stuck with me from last night's game and the overreaction that people had to the game. Number 1, the whole notion that he sucks, that he has a weak arm, that he couldn't make throws, this, that, and the third. Now, the weather was an issue. Even though people like Doug and Shannon and whatever gonna say they don't want to hear that, the fact of the matter is it was -4 degrees out there, which means that ball was like a brick. Now, even Mahomes didn't have the greatest day out there, but his receivers were making catches. They were making catches. Rice was, if you take away what Rice did with the 130 yards, Mahomes only had 132 yards passing without Rice's day, the day he had. Him and Kelsey were the only 2 guys making catches last night. Without those 2 guys, Mahomes barely did anything. So let's just erase that common denominator right off the bat. Now, in terms of Tua sucking and stuff like that, this is the same guy that during the regular season people was considering to be the MVP. They also said that, you know, he was good enough to be a Pro Bowler now, which is the very first one that he made. Now, those same people are now questioning whether or not he should even remain in Miami. They're saying that the front office should seriously consider looking into replacing him because of his playoff performance. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Peyton Manning, those, I'm gonna just name those 3. Those 3 guys did not have prominent postseason playoff games. They were not spectacular. As a matter of fact, I think Lamar Jackson right now, his record is 1-3 in the postseason. Deshaun Watson is 1-2. Peyton Manning, his overall playoff career record is 14-13. He won 1 additional playoff game than what he lost. But people want to say, oh, well, you know, because this was Tua's first playoff game and the expectations were through the roof on how he should play, given he didn't have a good game. He didn't. But he didn't have an all-around bad game. He just didn't. That's why I formally disagree with Doug, because if you watch the tape, most of his receivers weren't even trying to get any separation. And it's not his doing that the screen routes got called over and over and over and over and over again. Tua has said himself multiple times that the plays being called in the last minute, he can't change it because they only have 5 seconds left to run the play. So all that falls on him now, because the play is being called a certain way and he has to run that play. And because the play design, or the way the play was drawn up, it didn't go that way. The screen route, there's no play design for a screen route. All you're doing is hoping that the first guy that makes contact misses, and then the other guys will assist in trying to get the guy more yards down the field. Now the Tyreek Hill screen, there was nobody out there blocking for him. He threw it right to Tyreek, and McDuffie blew his ass up. Again, I said last night, you don't throw screens if the guy's like 5, if the guy's damn near 2 yards off the defender, or the defender's 2 yards off the receiver, because the receiver can get blowed up. What happened to Tyreek? He got blowed up and nearly fumbled. But Tua doesn't suck. Can he get better? Absolutely. Can he get a lot more aggressive with how he approaches the game, how he throws the ball? Yes. But now this whole notion, now the second part of this is his ability to scramble, him making off script throws. In this game alone, at -4 degrees, he ran 3 times for 29 yards. But you also see that Tua also put on weight so that he can build for this season, so that he can kill the narrative that he couldn't play a whole season. When that was completed, he still had that same bulk of weight on him to go into the playoffs. Now, if he loses those 20 pounds, he's back to being what he was as a rookie, which means he can be more elusive in terms of getting out of the pocket. The biggest thing that other people had with him in that regard his rookie year was that he was willing to take on tacklers and run them over and shit like that. It wasn't a problem until he was getting injured. When he was lowering his shoulder, run over safeties, taking on linebackers, getting that extra 9-10 yards, nobody said nothing. Nobody said a word. Now it's, he can't extend plays. He can't be elusive. He can't go off script. In the Charger game, how many different times did he get out of that pocket and make throws on the run, or run himself out of a sack? The biggest thing with him that I saw was somehow he went off that mindset as the season rolled along. Maybe it was because of the totality of the season, because you can't do it for so long. I hark back to what I said when I told a guy on Twitter, Newton, Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, Jackson, all them, I'm talking about the quarterbacks, all those guys that do those off-script plays, you only last for so long in the season, because eventually you can get your bell rung and it's going to put you at a serious disadvantage. Ask Andrew Luck what happened to him. Ask him. Ask RG3 what happened to him. And this is the rookie year. RG3 rookie year, he was never the same, because he was off-script, running for his life, throwing on a run, trying to outrun people, and what happened? His knee gave completely out. But you want Tua to confine to what everybody else does, what Justin Fields does, what Patrick Mahomes does, what Josh Allen does. Why can't he not carve his own name and play style into the NFL with how he plays? What's wrong with being in the pocket? Tom Brady was praised for this. Repeatedly praised for being a pocket quarterback, for being cerebral, for being able to read and manipulate defenses and throw the ball into certain locations to avoid his guys getting big hits. Tua just got to work on that part of his game, avoiding the hits, avoiding putting his receivers in big hit situations where they're taking big hits. Once he fine-tunes that game and he can get it to where he's not abrasively putting his guys in big hit situations, he's going to be a hard-ass quarterback to deal with, no matter what the weather is. Because if I now know I can put my receivers in better positions to where they're not susceptible to certain hits, and I can still preserve them as the game goes along, we're going to be hard as hell to beat. that's why my hope is that these next few days, Tua actually listens to the criticism. He listens to the naysayers. He listens to all that shit. Because next year, that's his final year that he has. I don't see the Dolphins actually signing him to an extension. I don't. Because of everything that's already been put into the media pundits about what he is not. It's never about what he does well. It's always about what he cannot do. And then people like Shannon Sharpe got the nerve to say he's the weakest link on the team. If you want my honest opinion, and this is me, this is what I observed from this entire season and last year, Tyreek Hill has been the biggest. He's been the biggest issue that we've had in the last 2 years. And I say that because I call him Galactus, because he has sucked all of the offensive scheme out of the team. There's no offense without Tyreek. And the numbers show that. If you take away Tyreek Hill, what does the offense do? It's very stagnant. It's not as fluent. It doesn't do anything. But I hark back to what I had told another friend of mine. If Tyreek just becomes a cog in the system instead of the system itself, he can be much more productive. Meaning that Mike McDaniel has got to make up in his mind that it is no longer going to run directly through Tyreek. Tyreek is a prototypical receiver, but he's not the typical receiver. He's not Julio Jones. He's not Calvin Johnson. He's not going to go up and make... If Tua had Calvin Johnson, do you not think that throw that he made to Tyreek against the Bills, that throw that he made to the corner, you don't think that gets caught? Julio Jones goes up and make that catch. Your 6'4", 6'5" receivers make that catch, not a 5'10" guy. I'm just giving you guys free chicken here, Miami. I'm 5'9". Those kind of catches are hard for us because we're not going to get our feet back down in bounds. If we jump that high, they're going to push us right out of bounds. Point blank. That's common sense. But if you put a receiver there that is dependable, that can get to those spots and shield himself from the safety over the top of the corner, and you throw it to that spot where he can come down inbounds with his legs while still maintaining the ball, you can allow Tyreek and Waddle to do their thing then, because guess what? Now he has 3 valuable options. And if he wants a 4th, he can spread it to Craycraft, Berrios, Wilson Jr., all them other guys can become valuable pieces. But you can't do that if I know for a fact your only option is Reek. And then your 1B is Waddle when he decides to involve himself in the game. If I know that as a defense, I'm going to take away everything that Reek has to offer. Which, like I said, he gives up a lot of plays. So he gives you one burst of speed, he gives you one play where he's going all full throttle. Then he will go to the sideline, take a break, come back in for 1 or 2 plays, go back out now. It is a common theme throughout the entire year, but nobody wants to talk about it because of what he did statistically. But now that's blamed on Tua. I need him and the OC, whoever the hell that is. I still ain't figured out who the hell the OC is. It seems to me that Mike McDaniel has become the OC, which he's done the team a great detriment, because their offense went from being a prolific offense to a very, very watered down vanilla, Milli Vanilli style type offense. That's not what Kyle Shanahan drew up. That's not the offense that he developed at all. And if people think it is, you're retarded. But I've slid off course a little bit to what I was saying about Tua sucks. People say he sucks because they say he doesn't go to progressions. Countless amounts of film show that. What it is that the media pundits, and I'm going to slam Kurt Warner for this one too, because he was one of the ones leading the charge now to say, oh, he struggles with progression. Yet, he's the same guy that put out a whole 3-part series about how great Tua was, anticipatory rides, going through his reads, manipulating safeties, doing this, that, and the third. Now all of a sudden in the Tennessee Titans game that you highlighted what he did not do very well, now he's a one-read quarterback. Now he don't go to progressions. Now he's this, now he's that. That is very hypocritical of you, sir. If you call yourself, as you say, a fan of the kid or a supporter of him, you can be critical. You can have your critical moments, but don't reverse what you say, because you said he's going through progressions. You've shown it on countless films. Now, how is it that he goes through progressions, but then all of a sudden he regresses out of that to not be able to go through none of his progressions? How does that make any sense? Now, he has had moments where he stared down certain people. Yes, that's not a regressive state. That's him making a sound decision to stare down the receiver. Most quarterbacks do that. They will stare down one guy. They will do it. But when Tua does it, it is magnified to the millionth degree. Well, he stared down Claypool, so that's why it was a pick. Okay, it was an interception. Yes, it was. But that wasn't all on him, because Claypool ran a lazy ass route. Fast forwarding now. So I talked about his scrambling ability and then the progression. Okay, so the narrative, they can't beat good teams. Let's go down that route, this rabbit hole. So at the beginning of the year, they beat the Chargers, they beat the Patriots, they beat the Broncos. They were 3-0. Then they went into Buffalo, got beat 40-20. Okay, came back, was a winning game streak. Then they met Kansas. That was the first winning team they met, was Kansas City in Germany. I think it was. Let me not get ahead of myself. Yeah, it was Kansas City. Yeah, it was. Okay, so they met Kansas City. It was supposed to be a highly anticipated matchup of two winning teams, and Kansas City beat them 21-14. Then they went on down to Philly, in which that game right there, everybody deemed it as the game that there was no penalties at all called against Philadelphia. And Tyreek Hill dropped a critical touchdown pass that would have tied the game up. Sweep it on the rug now, it's gone. So we lost that game 31-17. Tua had a so-so game in that game against Kansas City. He didn't play all that great, and people bashed him in the head for that. Then once again, we played the Ravens. Yeah, the Ravens. No. We played the Cowboys. We beat them because the kicker kicked 5 field goals, and people said that, it was an okay game by Tua, but Jason Sanders, he lifted the team by kicking those field goals. Now, this is the same kicker now that last season they were about to get rid of because he was missing kicks left and right. They were on the verge of getting rid of this man because they said that he had lost his angle, or he had lost his touch as a kicker, because he was missing gimmies. And they were looking to get rid of him. The fan base wanted him gone. Now they praise him for the Dallas Cowboy game, so he's done nothing wrong in their eyes anymore. But neither here nor there. So we ended up beating the Cowboys, made the playoffs. We ended up getting annihilated by the Ravens. Now, let me give a little clip point to this right here. So in the Ravens game, we went up 7-0, right? Defense went on the field, 3rd and 16. A simple screen route to Hill, which their running back, went for damn near 18 yards. Mind you now, we had 2 guys that could have made the tackle. That could have took them off the field. But did they do it? No. So therefore, instead of us having possibility to go up 14-0 in a hostile environment, they tied the game. Tua went down the field after 7-7. He marched down the field with the team. Tyreek Hill dropped a wide open fucking touchdown in the end zone after he had just put a great move on the safety. Whatever, 10-7. After that, the wheels fell off. I guess you could put it on Tua because, I mean, hell, you still got to play even with you being up 10-7. So we ended up giving up 50 points in that game. We got a head bashed in. We came home to play the Buffalo Bills, which was a division title on the line. I think, did we get the early lead or did they get it? I want to say I want to say they got the early lead. But anyway, it was a back and forth affair for a while, and then second half the wheels fell off. We literally imploded, and we ended up getting beat by the Buffalo Bills at home to lose the division to them. And then people was like, oh yeah, well, you know, we need to look forward to getting another quarterback, but we do have a playoff series. Now mind you, before the playoffs started, people was already saying, go and get rid of Tua, let him go, you know. We need to move forward. We need to go and get a quarterback that's gonna lead us somewhere. This, that, and the third. So fast forward to what happened last night. They actually said, and they showed that Mahomes had nearly 4 seconds damn near every time he dropped back to throw the ball. 4 seconds compared to Tua, who had under 2 seconds. And most of the plays, most of the things now that he had to throw was quick outs, screens, shit like that. Now, did that make any sense from a logical standpoint? No. But then again, if you only giving your quarterback 2 seconds to throw, and you're saying, hey, I'm tired of the screen routes, I'm tired of this, I'm tired of that. You might be tired of it, but the reality is, goddammit, we don't have a whole lot to work with right now. So I mean, given the fact that the screen routes and out route might not be what you want to see, it's the safest thing to keep him upright before he gets blasted. Which he did. He got hit 3-4 times last night. He got sacked 3 times. And then it was that dumbass pick to Waddle, which he sailed the ball on Waddle's head, and it landed into the safety's arms. So if you want to put the game 100% on Tua, that's fine. I gave Tua like 50% of that blame. I gave the other 50% to the play calling. Because if you know your line is not that great and you're asking him to drop back so many times, which you drop back 31 times, you asking him to do that, and then you completely abandon the run game. You had Raheem Mostert, who was on his way to get 100 yards. If only we had continued to run the ball, because he was averaging nearly 4 yards a carry, which means that we was getting pretty good, you know, we was getting pretty good production out of him. The only problem we have was our line cannot create a hole. They can't give us a running lane. The defenders were literally standing our linemen up. I didn't mean to stutter so bad, but they were standing our guys straight up. And if you stand up a lineman straight up, how can they create a seal for your running back? What can they actually do? Nothing but get stood up, and the D line will shed them and go to that running back. Just like in pass protection, you're supposed to be able to push them away or make them go as far around you as possible to get to the quarterback. We saw a play where Tua literally dropped back, and not even a half a second later, the DN had worked his way around the right guard, or the right tackle, I'm sorry, and was right there in the backfield when Tua had to step up and try to make a throw to Tyreek Hill on a 4th down play. We saw it our own eyes, but they blamed Tua for that one though. They said it's his fault because, hey, he should have just, when that slam route happened with Wilson Jr., granted, yes, he should have threw the ball maybe a second or two early, but if you already know somebody's barreling down on you, how easy is it really to get the ball off when somebody's literally barreling down your back? When you expect to be given another second at best to throw a better ball to Tyreek, instead you're actually running to, I think would be his left, but at the same time he's trying to position his body to throw it decently enough to Tyreek so he can keep on going. Instead he threw a bad ball, Tyreek couldn't catch it, and we went out on downs. And people make it seem like, you know, oh well, the cold did this and it did that. I don't think the cold was as big of a factor as people make it out to be. I think the same offensive woes that have plagued us this whole season finally reared their ugly head completely on a national playoff stage. And until the Dolphins decide to fix that, you can blame Tua all you want. You can put another quarterback back there, and they have the same issues that he's having right now. What do you want that person to do? So let's just hypothetically say here, you go get J.J. McCarthy from Michigan, that kid. Let's say J.J. McCarthy, right? And let's say J.J. has the same cast of players that Tua currently has. We're talking about Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Austin Jackson, Robert Hunt, Liam Eichenberg, Austin Jackson, Teron Armstead. Now let's say that same play happens where, they're breaking down the line, and then you're expecting him to go, he's expecting to get a second longer to make that throw. Instead, he's running to his non-dominant hand to let the ball off. Actually, no, he's gonna run to his dominant side, and you expect to get the ball off with the defender barreling down. Will J.J. McCarthy actually make that throw? Granted, now they already did a slam screen where they slammed two corners to each other to free Tyreek up. And if Tyreek had actually ran a better route, then I'm pretty sure Tua would put it on his chest. But Tua was also expecting, I think it was Austin Jackson's side. Austin Jackson got to do a better job than that. They already paid you. They're paying you to keep that kid upright. They're not paying you to whiff on blocks. They don't give a fuck how cold it was. You're supposed to hold that block. Instead, you ain't even touch the guy. You let him go around you like he was a table with no legs. Like, come on, bro. Yet, the narrative still is the same. He's not Lewis. He's not capable of carrying the team. I don't know many quarterbacks that have carried the team. And if you dare sit there and say Patrick Mahomes, you need to be slapped. Because last I checked, the team around him helps him look just as good. Because if that's the case, Patrick Mahomes should be out there running for 200 yards a game. Because he damn sure ain't throwing for it every single week. Because they were dropping a lot of balls. So that means he should be out there running like Michael Vick was back in the day, averaging 100 plus yards a game rushing and getting at least 2 or 3 touchdowns, like Mr. Cam Newton did back in the day. But that part of it is annoying to hear. Then it's we can do so much better without Tua. The only dispute I have to that is this: if you can, and let's say, like I said, hypothetically, let's just say he goes to the Seahawks. Let's say Tua ends up in Seattle with DJ Metcalf, what's that boy name? Tyler Lockett, and those boys, and their running back, and that line, and that defense. And let's just say, hypothetically speaking, Tua and the Seahawks end up going to the Super Bowl. What would a Miami fan base say then? I just want to know, hypothetically speaking, if Miami is to pull off a trade, and let's just say they shoot that boy to Seattle, and let's say that he ends up taking the Seattle Seahawks all the way to the Super Bowl and they win it, what would y'all say then? Now, mind you, Seattle has a pretty good line. They have a dependable running back, 2 dynamic receivers, a good tight end, a hell of a damn, play caller. Pete Carroll stepped down now, but I think whoever takes over, it shouldn't be that hard to maintain what's already there. Will you guys actually give him credit, or will you say, it's because of the guys around him? Because I can make the case that Mahomes, Josh Allen, and others have all benefited from somebody being around them to help them. They weren't throwing the ball to a bunch of no-names. Bro, if you're gonna come on. Why you fuck with me, dude? But I can make that case easily. When Mahomes had Tyreek Hill, when he would be off script, what would he do? Chuck the ball down the damn field. And who came underneath the ball? Tyreek Hill. Last year he couldn't do that, could he? He couldn't. Because couldn't nobody separate like Tyreek could. However, they also understood that Tyreek was becoming the biggest voice in that locker room, so they had to let him go. And Miami gladly picked him up. Now, Miami has a dilemma on their hands because it seems to me that everything completely has gone around Reek. It shouldn't have been that way. I'm not saying Reek isn't the best player on that football team, but there's no way your system should be built around your best player, because when they leave, your system collapses. You have no foundation around that team to say, well, hey, guys, I know we lost Reek, but this is what we still can do in his absence. Or this is what we're going to do now since he's traded, or whatever, or since he retired. For whatever reason, if he gets injured like next season, they're going to be fucked if they don't develop something else outside of him. Because without him on that field, they struggle so bad, it is atrocious to watch. Teams don't even respect us the same way without Hill. And that's crazy. Because other teams don't have to go through this. Other teams have magnitude of ways to beat you than just one player. The only thing they want to talk about is his dynamic speed, but he's getting older, which means that speed comes and goes and bursts. So he's not actually killing you every single possession. That's not what it is. It is a microcosm of opportunities where he'll kill you if you're not fully paying attention. When he gets by you that first 2 steps, oh, it's over. As long as Tua put that bitch on the money, he gone. It's a touchdown. But it's not consistent, meaning that he's not going to go out the very next play and do the same thing. No, he's not. He's going to take breaks. He's going to stop. He's going to half-ass run routes out there. It's been proven. Gainfield don't lie about the way he plays. Waddle actually has been banged up this year, so that's why you don't see the full effort game in and game out. He's still trying to recover, which now he has a whole offseason to do so before training camp kicks off. Which I'm praying this upcoming season, Waddle stays completely healthy. Because like I said before, if Miami could just simply go get a dependable receiver that will play their role but also make impact plays, that won't coddle or handicap the team, I'm all for it. But I'm also not going to sit here and pretend like we don't have other needs we got to fill. Like cornerback, for instance. Like offensive line, for instance. Because according to Doug and other people, 3 out of the 5 offensive linemen are free agents. And if you want my honest opinion, let them go. Let them go. You got Armstead, you got Austin Jackson on both corners. All you have to do is go get proven veteran leadership that are not guys off the street. That are not guys off the scrap heap where we gotta hope and pray that they'll mesh to give Tua the time he needs to produce. That's all you gotta do, and then get valuable backups that are also proven. So one goes down, the other one steps in, and we don't miss a beat. That's how you properly build a football team. Same on the defense side of the ball. We should have had capable backups that go in there and do their job. Patrick Mahomes had little to no pressure outside of us sending blitzes. That is pathetic. But it also doesn't excuse the way the offense played because, again, the vanilla style offense that we have, all they did was sit on the screens and shit. They were just waiting for us to kill them down the field. And we did one time. But that was with Tyreek Hill. Excuse me. It's becoming redundant. Like I said, to me it's redundant because it's almost like they're finding reasons now to rebel against him. Now, granted, he got the passing title this year because he did lead the league in passing, and people gonna say, "Oh, that's because he balled out against lackluster teams." However you want to split the apple, it's fine with me. I don't care. The only thing I push back on is this: if he's that bad, then what's stopping the organization from moving on? They have no loyalty to him other than that 5th year they gave him. So could they not pull off a trade? Because other teams wouldn't mind having the #1 rated passer on their squad. They wouldn't mind that. And not to mention that Tua's skill set is actually rare. The anticipatory skills that he possesses is very rare. Because if you can get linebackers and safeties off their spots and you start hitting them where it hurts, he can kill damn near any defense. Whether the defense is elite or not. But people want to constantly bash him because he's not athletic. He's not as quick or elusive. And he doesn't do X, Y, Z the way they think that he should do X, Y, Z. Which means extend plays, run out there for 20, 30 yards. Maybe slide if you want to, but other than that, be able to escape 20, 30 yards. or possibly get into the end zone rushing. And that's not what he does. So I just truly wonder, like, what's going through his mind, like, what is it that he really wants to do moving forward? Because it seems to me like everybody was waiting on this epic failure in the playoff, because they were looking for a reason to cry to management and to the organization, say, please move on. Let's blow this thing up. We're already negative $40 million in the hole. Let's just cut our losses with some of these players and go back into the draft and build that way, because we have not got our guy. They're convinced of that. Newsflash, Miami. The guy you're talking about, or the guy that you dislike, and the guy that you won't replace, he's actually been the perfect piece for you guys. The only problem you have with him is he hasn't been able to show you what he really can do because of the way the scheme is, and the way the play calling is. Because Tua wasn't throwing screens in college. He damn sure wasn't throwing screens his first 2 years in the league. That wasn't happening. He was rolling out of the pocket, wasn't he? Wasn't he rolling out of the pocket? Was he not throwing on the run? Was he not throwing the ball down the field? Was he not converting third downs at a higher rate? Was he not doing it? And what was the consensus for the first 4 years? Oh, just wait till he get him a weapon. He got Waddle. Wait till he get him another weapon with Waddle. He got Hill. Now it's, oh, he's no good now. He sucks. He can't extend plays. But before that, it was, can he stay healthy? And before that, it was, well, he needs to be able to prove that he can take these hits in the league. He took plenty of them. But it's always a pressing narrative, year in and year out, when it comes to him. Anybody else that stinks up a game, they got an excuse for them. They have a reason for it. The moment Tua does it, oh, it's because he sucks. That part I don't understand, because how is it that everybody else gets a formidable excuse, but when he does his thing, or when he doesn't do his thing, it's because he sucks? Make it make sense to me, man. I mean, this fan base is getting more dumber to me as the years go by. It's almost pathetic to see, and it's almost sad to witness, because there's no way, even if you've been a fan for 40 plus years, what was it like before you got what you got now? And I'm not saying settle for what you have, no, but hell, why not get behind what you have? Ask and demand better from the organization. Ask for better pieces that's gonna fit, instead of trying to go get the best available, because the best available don't always fit what you do well. Let that sink in your damn brain. The only decent player that y'all got was Jay Ramsey, but Xavier Howard's an old man now. Bradley Chubb, if he didn't get injured, he was gonna definitely be a liable piece, just like Jalen Phillips. Hopefully they both can stay healthy this year, outside of their coach would make dumb decisions to keep them in games that were no good. Outside of that, what else can you say? Jerome Baker? No. Melvin Ingram? No. Justin Houston? No. Malik Reed? Hell no. Kader Kohou? Fuck no. Like, come on, bro. And then on the offensive side of the ball, we can go down the list. Good afternoon. You too. But to be fair, I mean, if you want to go down the list, there's no way you can say with a straight face that they should literally get rid of Tua based on one playoff performance. Or as they say, but it's the fact that we're 1-3 against winning teams. Okay, that does happen, That's just like me saying, well, I guess you can replace Tua with Baker, because Baker did lead the Buccaneers to the playoffs this year. But before that, Did he make the playoffs since 2020? Was it 2020 or was it 2021? No, it was 2020 because he won that. He beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then he lost the following week to Kansas City, who ended up losing to the Buccaneers. But that's just like me saying that you can replace Tua with Baker. Or you can say they're both the same caliber of quarterback, which, in all honesty, is a travesty to even go there. But hey, just saying. I just don't think that the overall effect of what's going on right now is fair, because it's like everybody else gets a total pass except for him. Everybody else gets to walk. They get their names will not get mentioned at all this offseason. Nobody else name gonna get mentioned. Maybe Mike McDaniel may be mentioned a little bit, but he's the coach. So guess what? He could be fired, but they're not gonna say, "Oh, well, you know, McDaniel they should be looking to replace him." They're not gonna say that. They're gonna point the finger at Tua, and they're gonna say, "Oh, well, you know, they should be looking to trade him because of what transpired this season." It's only when he doesn't win, and if he has a bad performance, now he's the worst thing in the world. Now he's this, now he's that. Because when he threw for 460, actually, you know what? I'll take that back, because when he threw 466 yards against the Chargers, they didn't give him praise for that, for real. He was not really mentioned much. It was Reek. It was Tyreek. It was how explosive can Tyreek and his offense be. Tua was just the catalyst. He was the point guard, as they say. So when they win games, he don't get much credit. When they lose, he takes all the blame. That doesn't make any sense. So somebody I think he had 5 or 6 games where he had 300 plus yards. He got no credit for those games either. He had a 466 yard game, the very first game of the season. He didn't get any credit for that, for real. Yet, you're saying that he doesn't receive much credit, but he should always receive plenty of blame for whatever the reason that they want to give it to him for. If they lose a game, this is why they lost, this is why you should get rid of him, and maybe you'll have a chance to savage your organization by getting rid of him. Or as Shannon says, he's the reason why you'll never win a Super Bowl. Interesting. I find that very interesting. That shows me that as much as they can bring you up, or they could talk you up, they sure can tear you down. Because that's the same Shannon Sharp that 2-3 years ago was just praising Tua over a few games. Then all of a sudden, he literally changed that formality to, well, Tua's just a guy. Weak arm, lack of mobility, this, that, and the third. Now he's the weak link. I'm like dumbfounded by this brother now. And I still watch his podcast, because my channel is nowhere near his growth. But I question, do you actually watch the games, or do you just go by the final score? Do you watch the totality of the game, or do you just go by the highlights? Because if that's all you're going by in your recollection, then clearly you're a byproduct of what everybody else keeps saying. And like he said, just because everybody tells you the same thing doesn't mean it's true. Or no, in his words, if everybody tells you something, then you'll start to believe it's true. So by his own admission, saying Tua sucks and hearing that a lot will make you believe it's true. Right, Shannon? Right, Kurt? Right, Stephen A? I mean, because this is what it is now. You guys have made it to where all you talk about is how much he sucks, how bad he is, how he can't do this, how he can't do that. Now he's the weakest link on the team. They have to get rid of him. So my only question to you, Shannon, Kurt, Stephen A, I ain't gonna mention Skip because I know how he feels about him. Colin, Rex Ryan. The list goes on. RC. The list goes on and on and on. Who do you replace Tua with to elevate the Dolphins to this elusive Super Bowl? Or, yeah, that's it. Who do you replace Tua with to get to this Super Bowl game? Who do you go out there and get that is a formidable, talented quarterback that is going to exceed your lofty expectations, also play timely, perfect football, game after game, win big games, rise in the biggest moments, and still deliver in the playoffs to get you to where you need to be? With the way they're constructed right now, who do you go get that's gonna do better than what Tua's already done, and that may supersede where he's going now, because he's only 4 years in? I'm not telling you wait another 4 years on his progression, because I think you have to get a taste of postseason in order to gain that experience, to know what you should not do the next go round. You're not gonna learn by not going. You're not gonna learn by not playing that environment. He now has that learning curve. He now has that experience. He now knows what it takes to make certain adjustments in game, during the game, during critical moments. He can do that now because he was on that podium pissed the fuck off behind his loss. He didn't seem genuine at all with being happy about getting eliminated. That was not in his mind at all. Period. He did say the cliche stuff to shut people up, but now the voice is gonna get louder and louder and louder until next postseason. So again, I say, who do you replace him with? Because next season, it's not gonna be about the regular season. I don't care if they win 13 games. They got a much tougher schedule next season. If Tua can navigate and get them to 12, 13 wins, nobody's going to care until the postseason gets there. And then he gets to right the wrong of this year, which I think he is. I think that the more he faces the get out of town narrative, or how other quarterbacks aren't, or how he's not as good as other quarterbacks, or how he's compared to this guy, that guy, it gives him a lot of time now to overly focus and work. Because I also think he's going to lose that weight. He's going to drop that bulk weight now. Because I feel like that weight slowed him down tremendously. He was actually much quicker than that his rookie year and his sophomore campaign. He was much quicker than what he was now. He moves like a slug now because of that damn weight. But hey, that's a fact. It's not an excuse, it's a fact. So, now that his season's over, I wonder who they're going to find as a replacement. I wonder. But that's it, guys. I mean, please, this is one video I need you guys to let me know what you think. I need to know it. I'm going to respond. I just need to know what you guys think. Be blessed. Take it easy. And that's it for me. Peace.